right now. Hey everybody who appear to be live. Steve Anchorstar, thank you so much for coming out tonight and in person and both listening in online. We're going to talk about the family office model tonight, which is not something you hear a lot of unless you have the mega millions that goes with the family office. However, I want you to at least know that it's out there, and some of the clients obviously are up at this level. And we have our first family office client that has actually signed on last week. We're going through the onboarding process. So as a firm, we're moving up from basic investment management to where we outsource the legal and tax strategies that go with it to now being able to provide that with partners, if you will. Let's take a look at the disclaimer here first. You can pause this and read it if you want. Standard, basically what you want to know from tonight, this is not tax or legal advice. Those are very specific specialties with life. Make sure everything is good to go there. But I am going to talk about some general strategies and how it's packaged for your client. So first of all, let's talk about what office. You may have heard this term before. It can mean a lot of different things. Appreciate it. So a family office is a private company that manages the investments and affairs of a single wealthy family or a small group of families. So we'll even stop right there and break that down. Single family office, SFO, we're talking 100 million and above, to where everybody on that team services one client. So good problem to have. Largest family office out there is the Rockefellers. Set it up years ago, and it's lasted generations. So really, really well set up. If you are thinking the wealth 100 million above, you could set up a single family office. If you're at that kind of 30 million to 100 million crowd, then you might partner with a few other families to get together, and now you would have a multifamily office where you're all sharing the same investment manager, CPA, estate lawyer. Also, you might be sharing cleaning staff, nutritionist. I mean, this really kind of gets full service concierge of what you might be sharing in this case. But that's basically how that's organized. If you're 30 million and below, that's where you can run into services like ours, where we're offering a family office lite or family office services, where we're not going to walk your dog, we're not going to cook your food for you or pay your bills, but we are going to handle the big three, right? The investment management, tax, not only consequences, but strategy going into that, and of course, protecting your wealth through the appropriate legal structure. Okay, operates much like a dedicated financial nerve center. So basically your investment manager is the person that's running your family office. Certainly if you outsource it, there are families that do this internally and employ everybody in the family into the family office. You're definitely going to get the IRS's attention if everybody is sole employment is through the family office. It's legal, but you have to do it correctly, and you're off into a big legal discussion there. Certainly worth the tens of thousands, if not 100,000 plus, of making sure you set that up correctly if you're going to go down that route. However, in this case, we're talking about basically outsourcing that to me, who acts as the quarterback for your situation and running, again, your investments, as well as working directly with partner CPA and partner estate lawyer. Okay, core objective down at the bottom is to preserve and grow the family's wealth. Now that can differ. A lot of people, as soon as they make money, all they do is try to protect it and not try to grow it. That's one way. That's called museum money. If you have that mentality, you're basically saying that I know this money's going away. Somebody in my family will screw this up. I just want to keep it as long as possible. So kind of negative energy there, right? And who screws up a family office, right? The G1. That's the parents that were out there and they made something happen or won the lottery, whatever it is, right? They did the thing that got the mega millions. G2, the kids of the parents, say it's a business that happened to grow into some pretty significant wealth. Well, the kids watched that, right? They saw their parents, not at their baseball games, and they saw their parents stressing out over things as they built the business, right? So they've witnessed it, so they appreciate the wealth. G3 is the first one that's really they grew into it. They were born with the silver spoon and everything's easy. They live the whole life of easy button. You just pay money and problems go away. So G3 is certainly the first ones that are at risk of screwing this up for everybody, if you will. But G4, forget about it, right? They don't even know G1, right? Because if G1 passed away before G4 was around, and G4 is entitled to all of this wealth that obviously everybody has, or they think so. So G4 will certainly wipe out anything G3 doesn't protect. So there you go. There's the life cycle of having a lot of money. So to avoid that, part of this, when you look at the 6 objectives down there, we kind of talked about the first one, integrated wealth management, tax and legal oversight, of course, state and trust planning. You can, you can create entities to try to protect this and grow this wealth, and also try to avoid that, the G4 scenario I just talked about. We'll skip to the bottom where it's family governance and education. So it is, if you remember there was a famous meme from back in the day. I think it was Emmett Smith that says you'll never, who's crying. It says you won't understand the stress of $10 million or something like that. But yeah, money can be stressful. And a lot of people aren't equipped. When you come into massive wealth, if you will, a lot of people come into it quickly, so they don't have the education of really how to handle it or how much it is going to stress you out. So there's the education piece for everybody in the family. And then the family governance is who's watching over this, who's the appropriate steward. Not everybody in the whole world is cut out to manage money, right? And you could argue that not very many people are cut out to manage money, because most people are victims of their own emotions. So it allows to put a decision-making process in place. Again, most family offices try to bring in non-family members in to try to balance the emotion that can go with a lot of the discussions. So that's that family governance sort of thing. A family office will have a board of directors, which is going to be largely everybody with the same last name and a few others to try, mitigate the arguments that are happening out there. Concierge services, I alluded to that earlier, literally involves everything. So this is like straight off of TV. I don't have a good example. I like Succession, but that was more of a business related show. But I know there are reality shows of rich families that are out there. And, really some unique personalities can develop when you have money to, like, you don't walk your own dog anymore. That's somebody else's job. You don't cook or clean or any of that stuff because you have a 20-person staff that works at the estate to be able to take care of all of that stuff. So that can put you in kind of a weird headspace. But certainly if the family's paying, then the family gets it, right? So travel planning, planning vacations, keeping track of everybody's schedules. Each person in the family may have an assistant that handles their schedule, appearances, those sorts of things that, you and I are like, yeah, I don't really have to worry about that. Well, these people do. This is a big deal. Social media management, right? Maybe Trump could use one of those, but, before you hit send on the most hilarious thing you've ever seen, it should probably be vetted through somebody with the whole entity in mind of how this is going to play out. I'm thinking of Mahomes' brother, Jackson Mahomes, right? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a handler needs to be assigned there. I don't know. That's just me thinking out loud. Your results may vary in your family. But certainly those sorts of things, security arrangements. Obviously, if you have a lot of money, there is security concerns, whether it's personal security for folks that are going out and about, or securing your assets that are possibly spread all over the world. Right. And bill payments. I used to laugh. I did laugh. I went to a conference and somebody talked to me about it's bill pay. It's like, hey, we'll take care of handling all the bill paying for your clients. And I just kind of chuckled and said, well, I'm not going to pay my clients' bills. And they're like, well, if you have big enough clients, you will. And I said, that's it. Okay, you're right. So I grew up a little bit that day, right? I just haven't had anybody say, hey, Steve, you're going to pay my bills, right? I'm like, well, I guess we all have a price, maybe, I don't know. We can certainly have those services that are available to somebody like me as a wealth manager. It's like, okay, yes, I can bring that in-house and have that available for the right client. So we shall see. Those are a lot of things on this slide. And comprehensive financial administration, not just we only do investment management piece of it. We do some financial planning, but we don't do budgeting, accounting, do a little bit of cash management. That sort of thing, that's a family office thing, right? You have an entire financial team helping you out there. Okay, what's the current reality? So if you're below that 30 million level, you have certainly, if you're from 1 million to 30 million. So anybody that gets to $1 million in net worth, congrats, you're a millionaire. It used to mean a little bit more before we devalued the dollar 2+% a year, every year for our lives. But it's still a significant goal and should be congratulated when you're there. For any of those that have gotten to that level, you can raise your hand and say, was it what you thought? It's like, no, it's not. It's just like, I still feel just as broke as when I had 100,000. But that's because your expenses go up too. But really, when you get above a million all the way to 30 million, you're really not going to get a full in, all in kind of solution to help you do things. It's going to be here, there, and everywhere. You're still going to have to be involved, whether you want to be or not. Some people want to be directly involved. Some people like don't want to deal with this at all. Like, Steve, make this happen. I'm like, okay, I can do that. But it's certainly not optimized. It's kind of all over the place. Maybe some relationships exist or they don't. And that's what we're trying to do with the Family Office Lite Model, is at least get the core 3 relationships kind of set up to where it's like, well, we're on the same page. And then if we do have to outsource something else, then we can go get that. And then lack of accountability, I call that who to yell at, right? When, if you outsource this yourself and it gets all screwed up, well, you can go look in the mirror and find out who the person accountable is. If you do want to outsource that, though, you're outsourcing a service, right? And we're happy to provide that to folks. And you can, it's going to be my name at the top. I'm the only one of our advisors that does family office services at this point. We'll look into more later. We shall see. But certainly right now, if it gets screwed up, then it's my fault, right? Because I'm quarterbacking this whole thing for you. So you do have somebody to be able to point the finger at and say, hey, what are you going to, what went wrong? And what are you going to do to fix it? And then I will give you the press conference of exactly what went down and how we're going to do better in certain areas, just, full transparency, that sort of thing. Okay. The family office offering. So again, we talked a little bit about the structure there, where you have the big 3 kind of in one place, whether, you're paying them or however it's working. Holistic financial picture, transparency and pricing. Generally, it's just a flat fee type model. We're not going to go into the exact fees today, but I'll talk about the type of fees. But generally, you are paying a chunk of money, and it is a lot because it's a lot of responsibility. So if you're not looking to pay the price, then you don't get this level of service. So think of it from, if you were to go to pick a hotel and you stay, and then don't throw spears if La Quinta is your favorite hotel. But if you go to La Quinta, you have a certain expectation when you go in. You are not expecting the works. But if you go stay at the Omni, you are expecting the works, right? And you're paying for it. So same thing, family office offering, you're going to pay a lot higher, but then this service experience is going to be a lot higher level. So it's really what you're willing to pay for. So when you think of it in hotel terms, and everybody does that math, right? It's like, where are we at right now in our lives? Well, we're here. We're not at the Waldorf Astoria. Nope. It's like, you can just take a pass on that. We don't need to be in the, Motel 6 or whatever anymore. Reduce friction and time. I will say the higher you go up on the net worth chain, your time, there's a lot of competing things for your time and your schedule. So whether that's because you're important or just because you're supporting a bunch of different things in your life. But certainly there's friction in somebody handling your schedule for you. So again, those are some key advantages that are out there. With us, it's really just being able to talk between the 3 of us. You don't have to explain yourself the whole time. For asset management, it is very similar to what you're seeing right now. You're either protecting money, which is that conservative portion of the risk spectrum, or you're on accelerated growth. And it's all about you. And we'll sit down and I will talk to you endlessly about get inside your head as far as what you're thinking. There's some people that they get hit with some millions and all they want to do is more. That's fine. That's you, right? There's some people who are like, hey, I just got to 6 million. I'm going to lock this down and make it last for the rest of my life. And I don't ever want to see it float up and down. Hey, up to you, right? So it's really whatever you want out there. And we manage accordingly to that risk tolerance. Okay. Moving on into the next piece there, which is, again, the tax and estate piece. So there's 2 types of the way I explain it. And Michael's here in the room, so you can correct me off camera, I hope, but maybe real time. I don't know. There's tax strategy. So there's tax consequences, right? There's the physically doing your taxes and getting that done and getting that right and buttoned up so you're free and clear with the IRS. Your IRS little credit score is down low so you don't get audited. There's that piece of it. And then there's the backing it up. Most CPAs are like, well, the year closes out. Like 2025 is about to close out in a month. It closes out, and then you go in early 2026 and you sit down with Michael and you go back and forth, and there's not, I wish you would have done, because there's no going back in time. If you solve that problem, you're going to be very wealthy. But that's tax consequences and filing. Then there's tax strategy, which is what are things we can do during current year to be able to mitigate our tax bite next year. And then there's really the holistic tax strategy of what are the things we're trying to do over the next 10 years and how can we make the moves now so we mitigate the long-term tax consequences. So that's the tax piece in a nutshell. Again, not trying to give you a PhD in tax law while we're here. Same thing with legal structures. We're going to, we start from beneficiaries, which is kind of the low end of, hey, if you pass away, who gets the money, to some basic will drafting for you here. And then we hand it over to Mickey, who does the, whether you need a will or whether you need to go into trusts. We tend to draft it as a team. And then, of course, she, with her licenses, has to be the one to sign and actually execute it to put it into place. But these are all fantastic conversations. These are conversations you need to be having, whether you want to or not. If there's two of you and one wants to talk about it and the other doesn't, it's time to have that mature talk of let's have everybody at the table so we know what's going on with our wealth. And that can be a maturing process for somebody that's 50 or 60 who doesn't want to know any of this, but it's like, well, you're too rich to use the excuse of not knowing it, right? You do have to grow up and say, what would happen if this tragedy happened or this tragedy, with family meetings, you sit everybody around a family table. And then somebody like myself says, okay, let's go around the room and just talk about the empty chair scenario. If this chair is empty, what happens? And if this chair is empty, what happens? That's the sort of things we're kind of looking at. Get it out in the open so it's not taboo anymore. And then, of course, the estate lawyer is the one who puts it in place. You could talk about trust till the end of time. You can do almost anything with the trust. I'm sure there's something you can't do with the trust, but I haven't found it yet, right? So that's what we're really trying to do by maximizing everything in one place. You can get these services elsewhere. Again, if you have 30 million and above, probably not calling me, probably calling somebody else. Good for you, but I'll give you my number anyway. It's right there. If you'd like to reach out, I would love to have you. But if you're in that, we kind of place it at the 5 million and above. Total, 2.5 or 5 million in net worth, 2.5 million investable is when it kind of gets to the point where we can now service you, and it's worth our time as professionals as well as your money that you're paying for it. So that's kind of the minimum. I'll show you that on the next slide. But these are the three individuals that you'll be talking to. Again, it starts with me initially to kind of make sure that this is a good fit for you. Then we bring in the other two professionals as part of the team when the time is right. So those are the folks you'd be working with. As far as the pricing, we won't go into specifics here because that's a personal conversation. But there's the current AUM structure, which we have if we're just managing your assets, right? And that's all you get. We're very good at what we do, and we're happy to do it for you. But certainly we can't get you the tax and legal piece that you need. And if you ask, I'll be like, well, you got to set up a meeting with Michael or Mickey, and you can go off and do that. But you're not really getting this optimized. Everybody meets at once. We have a flat fee, which is the second one down. Again, 5 million in net worth is what you need to have before we even have the conversation. And then there's the kind of the combined family office light. It's like, well, maybe you have 2.5 million in AUM, which means investable, accounts that can be put into Schwab, and a varying wealth level there. But bottom line is we take, and we've done this a whopping once, right? Is we take all three scenarios, we break out, here's what it would cost if you were under each of these models, and here's what you would get. And then you can choose, or I'll give you my recommendation, and then you make a choice from there as the client. So if you want to have that conversation, please reach out and let me know. That's all I'm going to talk about today. And we do have somebody coming into the airport here soon, so we're going to run off here quick instead of taking questions today. But if you do have questions, reach out to wherever you listen to this, and we'd be happy to answer them for you. So with that, have a good night. Appreciate your time. Thanks.